Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are rediving deep into one of the most pivotal moments in American history, the Battle of Yorktown. This wasn't just another battle. This was the showdown that effectively ended the American Revolutionary War and secured independence for the United States. So, how did a ragtag army of colonial rebels manage to defeat the most powerful empire in the world? Let's rewind the clock and find out. The year is 1781. The war has been raging for 6 long, brutal years. The Continental Army, led by General George Washington, has seen its share of ups and downs. Morale is low, resources are scarce, and the British still control major cities like New York and Charleston. It feels like a stalemate. The British, for their part, are getting tired of this expensive war. They shift their strategy to the south, hoping to rally loyalist support and crush the rebellion once and for all. Enter British General Lord Charles Cornwallis. He's a capable commander, and he's been campaigning aggressively through the Carolinas. After a series of costly battles, Cornwallis decides to march his army north into Virginia. His plan to establish a deepwater port where the British Royal Navy can resupply his troops and ferry them wherever they needed next. He chooses a small tobacco port on a peninsula, a place called Yorktown. At the time, this seemed like a smart, strategic move. Little did he know, he was marching his army straight into a trap. Meanwhile, George Washington is up north, outside New York City, planning an attack on the British stronghold there with his French allies, led by the Comte de Rochambeau. The French had officially joined the war on the American side in 1778, and their support was a game-changer. They provided money, weapons, ships, and thousands of well-trained soldiers. Then, a crucial piece of intelligence arrives. A French fleet, under the command of Admiral de Grasse, is sailing not to New York, but to the Chesapeake Bay in Virginia. This is the light bulb moment for Washington. He sees a golden opportunity. Instead of attacking the heavily fortified city of New York, what if they could corner Cornwallis at Yorktown? It's a huge gamble. It means secretly marching the combined American and French armies over 400 miles south, hoping to arrive before the British realize what's happening. This is where the deception comes in. Washington sets up a massive decoy operation. He has his men build huge brick ovens in military camps in New Jersey, visible to British spies in New York. The idea is to make the British believe a major long-term siege of New York is imminent. He even sends out fake dispatches with false plans. The ruse works perfectly. The British commander in New York, Sir Henry Clinton, is completely fooled and stays put, thinking he's the main target. While Clinton is watching the fake camps, Washington and Rochambeau begin their epic march south. Imagine the logistics. Thousands of soldiers, horses, and wagons moving secretly down the East Coast. It was a masterpiece of coordination and speed. They traveled day and night, and by late September, the Franco-American army had arrived and surrounded Yorktown, trapping Cornwallis on the land side. But what about the sea? Cornwallis was counting on the Royal Navy to rescue or resupply him. That's where Admiral de Grasse and the French fleet come in. Just before the land army arrived, de Grasse's ships sailed into the Chesapeake Bay. A British fleet showed up to challenge them, leading to a crucial naval engagement known as the Battle of the Chesapeake. The French won a decisive victory, driving the British ships back to New York, and most importantly, sealing off Cornwallis's only escape route by sea. Now, the trap was fully sprung. Cornwallis was completely cut off. The siege of Yorktown began on September 28, 1781. The combined Franco-American force of about 17,000 men heavily outnumbered Cornwallis's 8,000 troops. The Allies dug a series of trenches, called parallels, that allowed them to move their heavy cannons closer and closer to the British fortifications. The constant thunderous bombardment was relentless, day and night. American and French artillerists hammered the British lines, destroying their defenses and morale. One of the key moments of the siege was the capture of 2 critical British defenses, known as Redoubt 9 and Redoubt 10. A night assault was planned for October 14th. The Americans, led by a young and ambitious officer named Alexander Hamilton, were tasked with taking Redoubt 10. The French would take Redoubt 9 to ensure speed and surprise. The soldiers advanced with unloaded muskets, relying only on their bayonets. The assault was quick, brutal, and successful. Capturing these redoubts allowed the Allies to complete their second parallel trench and bring their cannons even closer, making the British position completely untenable. Inside Yorktown, the situation was desperate for Cornwallis. His fortifications were crumbling, casualties were mounting, and disease was spreading. He attempted a desperate nighttime escape across the York River, but a sudden, violent storm scattered his boats and foiled the plan. He had no hope of rescue, and his army was on the brink of collapse. Finally, on the morning of October 17, 1781, a lone British drummer boy appeared on the ramparts, beating a parley, followed by an officer waving a white handkerchief. Cornwallis was asking for terms of surrender. 2 days later, on October 19th, the official surrender ceremony took place. Thousands of American and French soldiers lined the road to watch as the British Army marched out of Yorktown to lay down their arms. In a famous, though possibly embellished detail, the British military bands played a tune called "The World Turned Upside Down." It was a fitting anthem for the moment. The mighty British Empire had been humbled by its former colonies. Cornwallis, claiming to be ill, sent his second-in-command, General O'Hara, to surrender his sword. O'Hara first tried to surrender to the French commander Rochambeau, but Rochambeau directed him to Washington. In a final symbolic gesture of who was in charge, Washington, seeing that Cornwallis himself was not present, had his own second-in-command, General Benjamin Lincoln, accept the surrender. The news of the surrender at Yorktown sent shockwaves across the Atlantic. When the British Prime Minister, Lord North, heard the news, he reportedly exclaimed, "Oh God, it is all over." And he was right. While the war didn't officially end for another 2 years, until the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, Yorktown was the nail in the coffin. The defeat convinced the British Parliament and public that the war was unwinnable and too costly to continue. The Battle of Yorktown was more than just a military victory. It was the culmination of brilliant strategy, crucial international alliance, masterful deception, and sheer determination. It showed that the American experiment in liberty wasn't just a fleeting rebellion. It was a force to be reckoned with. It secured the independence that was declared 5 years earlier and set the United States on the path to becoming a new nation. And that the story of how a trap laid in a small Virginia port changed the course of world history. What an incredible series of events. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more history deep dives, and let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. See you in the next video.